Okay, this Sunday at A Place to Talk, we're going to talk about, did Jesus really intend us to pray like this every day? You say, what is this? Well, the Lord's Prayer goes, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Now, there's a lot of debate about what was added, what wasn't there. Maybe that thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Maybe that was added later. You know what? I'm saying that from memory. It's been years since I've really dug deep into this passage, asking that question. Which of this was originally, did Jesus actually say? But anyway, that's not the point. The point is we're going to be talking about this text. And what does it mean? Does Jesus begin the prayer with our Father instead of our... Why does Jesus begin the prayer with our Father instead of my Father? You might want to even ask, why is God a father and not a mother? There are definitely texts in the Bible where God is likened to a mother, like a mother hen gathering her chicks. You know, that's a text in the Bible. You say, Josh, it is blasphemous for you to talk about God as if God is female. Well, I would ask you, do you think that God has male genitalia? Do you think God, I shouldn't have said he. See, that's insane. Well, it's not insane. That's a bad thing to say. But I don't personally believe that God has gender like you and I have gender. And I guess we could get into all kinds of gender debates, but that's not the point of this talk, this conversation. This coming Sunday at A Place to Talk. Now, of course, you can ask anything. We'll talk about anything that comes up. And every week we have some conversation and somebody, maybe Joyce, says, only at A Place to Talk. In other words, we get off subject. Maybe it's my fault. I'm very ADHD. But anyway, what will we talk about this Sunday? We're going to talk about this prayer. Did Jesus say our Father instead of my Father? Was Jesus saying that his disciples, those people that were around, were children of God? Then why Father instead of mother? We'll also talk about how in the prayer, the first three parts are about God's name, God's kingdom, and God's will. And the second three parts of that prayer are about our daily bread, our forgiveness and others, and our temptation and evil for us. Okay, so we'll talk about that however it goes. We're a very transparent, open community that the conversation will, these questions are thrown out there, but if somebody has something else on their heart that day that we need to discuss, we'll certainly discuss it. But this will be the guide. If Jesus structured prayer this way, what does it say about how our priorities should be ordered? What would change in your life if you started every prayer or every day focusing on your own purposes, on God's purposes before your own? Woof! I slipped there, said it exactly opposite, because that might be the way we live. We think about our purposes and our goals, and that's the thing. Do you have a purpose for your life? Well, what about God's purpose? Does that matter? Or did you grow up in a world where God's purpose was so strongly talked about that you weren't even able to think about what you wanted? What does it mean for God's name to be hallowed? What does Jesus mean by your kingdom come? What does daily bread represent in modern day life? Why is forgiveness tied to forgiving others in this prayer? What does temptation look like in our culture today? For me, it often looks like sweets or more food or another snack sitting in my chair and watching television. Oh, geez, I saw the little corner of the slide here, and it's got that cake and a chair and a remote. That's temptation for me. Not so much cars. I mean, I like my car, but it's not Facebook, Instagram, all of those likes and shares. Does that tempt you? Does that control you? Money, credit cards, shopping, does that control you? Anyway, what does What does temptation look like in our culture today? Maybe it's none of these things on the slide. Maybe for you, it's something totally different. Is this prayer meant to be recited, meditated on, or used as a framework? Should we recite it daily? Should we meditate on it daily? Should we use it as a framework? What would it look like for God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven? Does this prayer challenge modern ideas of independence and self-sufficiency? Does this prayer tell us that we need to remember that we're not our own. We can't do everything alone. We need God's assistance. We need others. What line in the prayer feels most relevant? Am I saying that right? Which line in this prayer seems to mean the most to your life right now? What matters the most? Hey, this Sunday at A Place to Talk, love to have you be a part. 1546 Brookford Church Road. Visit us at aplacetotalk.net to maybe get directions or whatever you need. aplacetotalk@gmail.com is an email you can send if you want to ask questions, or you can call me anytime, 828-238-2682. I would love to have you join us, be a part. Tiny little group. Nobody will be forced to talk. I mean, we might say, hello, how are you? What's your name? How can we help you? How can we include you? But it certainly will never be our goal to make you answer questions that you don't want to, or to participate in the conversation. You can just sit and listen if you want. It'll be really hard for you not to be seen because we're a tiny little group. You can't just slip in the back. We don't have loud music and dark lighting, so you can just slide in and out of the back. It's just not who we are. It is a very communal, conversational community. But we'd love to have you anytime. A Place to Talk. Reach out. Talk to you soon.